So good day everyone. For today's video, we are going to talk about the assessment in the classroom, the formative and summative assessment. But before we proceed to our discussion, let us first identify our learning objectives. So at the end of this lesson, the learners are expected to explain at least 2 to 3 sentences about the assessment in the classroom, the formative and summative assessment. Identify 3 similarities and differences between formative and summative assessment by creating a Venn diagram, and develop a positive attitude toward classroom assessment by writing a personal reflection that includes at least one reason why both formative and summative assessment are important for effective learning. DepEd Order Number 8 Series of 2015 explained that classroom assessment is a way for teachers to check students' learning by collecting the evidence of their knowledge, understanding, and skills. So it helps teachers to know the progress of learners and guide them in improving their performance. So its central purpose is to empower both teachers and their students to improve the quality of learning in the classroom. So now let us proceed to the first assessment, the formative assessment, or the nurturing continuous learning through timely feedback. So formative assessment is part of the instructional process within a classroom to be any practice that collects the information about the student achievement and is utilized to adjust steps in instruction that are intended to be more effective than if that evidence had not been collected. So when formative assessment is incorporated into the classroom practice, it provides the information needed to adjust teaching and learning while they are happening. In this sense, formative assessment informs both teachers and students about the student understanding at a point when timely adjustments can be made. So these adjustments help to ensure students achieve the targeted standard-based learning goals within a set of time frames. So in other words, formative assessment can be described as the use of low-stakes activities along with the provision of ongoing and timely feedback on students' strengths and gaps to continuously monitor student progress toward the intended learning outcomes throughout the course. So in simple terms, formative assessment means using small, low-pressure activities to track how students are learning during the lesson or course. So it also gives students a regular feedback so they can see what they are doing well and what they still need to improve. Is formative assessment recorded or not? Right. Formative assessment is usually and not formally recorded, unlike the summative assessment. So the main purpose of the formative assessment is to guide the learning and give feedback, not to assign grades. However, teachers may sometimes keep notes or simple records to track the students' progress and plan future instruction. Teachers can use the results of formative assessments to adjust their teaching strategies and match the students with appropriate materials and learning conditions. Information gained from the formative assessment can help a teacher determine how to group students, whether students need alternative materials, how much time to allocate to specific learning objectives, which concepts need to be retaught to specific students, and which students are ready to advance. Next one is the summative assessment. So, summative assessment is given at the end of a unit, course, or semester to measure how much students have learned after instruction is completed. So, it is designed to evaluate overall achievement by comparing student performance against a set of standards or learning goals. Unlike the formative assessment, summative assessment provides a final judgment of learning, often in the form of grades or scores that reflect a student's proficiency. So, the example for this is final exams, projects, or the standardized tests. In other words, summative assessment is a high-stake evaluation that determines whether students have mastered the intended outcomes of instruction. So its results are used to certify learning, assign grades, and sometimes decide progression to the next level. Teachers can use the results of summative assessment to evaluate the effectiveness of their instruction and the curriculum. Information gained from summative assessment can help teachers determine whether the learning objectives were met, which students excelled or struggled, how to improve future lessons, whether the instructional strategies were effective, and how to make decisions about student promotion or advancement. Formative and summative assessments are both important in the learning process, but serve different purposes. Formative assessment is ongoing, low stakes, and focus on giving feedback to improve learning while instruction is still happening. Summative assessment, on the other hand, happens at the end of the instruction and provides a final measure of what the students have learned, often recorded as grades. Together, they ensure that teaching supports learning along the way and that achievement is measured at the end. That would be all. Thank you.